From bestbrokers.com, this is Chris taking a look at the MetaTrader 5 trading platform. I am at the MetaQuotes webpage, and as you can see, the MetaTrader 5 platform is predominantly shown in a hero graphic on the front of the page. You can see what the platform looks like. It is, without a doubt, one of the most widely used trading platforms in the world. Perhaps second only to MetaTrader 4, but we are in the process over the last couple of years of going from 4 to 5. So most of you will probably be heading into MetaTrader 5. It is highly customizable, very intuitive, easy to use, and offered quite widely. You can either download it directly from MetaQuotes in order to get your demo account, or the route most people take is they choose a broker and then they download to use a demo account there. Either way, the process ends up being the same. If you're going to download it directly from MetaQuotes, you download it off the front page. Otherwise, your broker will have an easy way to set up a demo account. Generally, you have to have an email address and confirm your email and enter your information in the back portal of their website. Now that I've downloaded the platform and installed it, one of the first things you'll see is open an account and then list of the companies. Now, in this case, I've downloaded the demo account from IC Markets, so that'll be the only choice I have. Sometimes you can get a copy perhaps from MetaQuotes and then attach it to a broker after the fact, but most of you will end up doing it this way. You click on Next, and then it will do its thing. Now, anymore, a lot of traders are going to see where there is the open a demo account, and you can click on that with some brokers. On others, they'll send you the information. So this could vary, but really at this point, the important thing here is that you get a login, a password, and then you have to choose the server. In this case, IC Markets sent me a demo login, and I can go ahead and copy and paste from an email. So I will do that now and make sure that the server is correct in this case. It's dash demo, makes sense. Click finish. And then the platform wakes up. Now, when the platform first loads up, it will bring in a ton of emails. There will be nothing on the trade, but in this case, I opened up an account with $100,000 balance, and you can see there's no other information there other than that's the amount of virtual money that's in the account. You can see if I put my cursor over this bar here, I can drag this down and make those bigger, smaller, etc. You'll know you're live. Not only will you see prices moving and all of this information moving, but there are green bars down here to give you an idea of how connected you are. In this case, if you hover over it, there's a little window that'll tell you the ping. Right now I'm at 30.78 milliseconds. So, as you can see, the charts may need to be adjusted for size as you do this, but ultimately, one of the things about MetaTrader that makes it so wonderful is that you can adjust pretty much everything. So what I will do is take a look at the top and make sure that all of my toolbars are showing, at least for now. And you can do that by clicking on View at the top and then Toolbars. And you can see that they all are, in fact, showing. So let's go ahead and close out of these charts and just keep one. can expand it, and you can see that as things stand, this is a green bar on a black background with a white foreground. Look, you can change the look of the chart very quickly, uh, basically by changing clicking the bars, or you can click on the chart with the right button, click on candlesticks, and you can see it changes that to candlesticks, and then you can go to line charts. Those are the three types of charts that you have on MetaTrader. One thing that is really remarkable about this platform is you can click on one of these toolbars and just drag it and try to sort out how you want it. So for example, I can grab this toolbar and drag it down, and you can see it drops to the bottom. I can drag it over here, and you can see that now we have access to the candlestick, bar, and line chart, as well as zoom in and zoom out. The first thing you'll want to do is set up the charts how you like them. So in this example, I'm going to right click on the chart and go to properties. And you can see that it brings up a dialog box, and there are a couple of preset versions. So black on white, I could click on that. You can see it now is a black and white chart. I can also scroll down to properties, and I can go color on white, and then it becomes a light red with a green candlestick. You can also change everything about these charts that you want. You can click on charts and down to properties. It'll bring up the same dialog box. So let's say I want a black background, foreground of white, so I can see the numbers, no grid, bar up of lime green, bar down of bright red, bull candle, lime, bear candle, red, line chart, lime. I'll click on that. Another thing that some traders like to do is click on chart shift, and you can see it'll back off the very end. And now this is what your charts look like. You could conversely go to charts and properties and change the colors to a background of white, for example, and then a foreground of black. Your bars, you can make your bar up black and your bar down black. And you can see that's what we get. So you can see that the charts can be changed quite drastically to show you how the markets are moving. And again, it really comes down to preference. You know, some people like bars, some people like candlesticks, whatever. Now that we have come up with a template that we like, you have the ability to set up a chart template by right-clicking on the chart, going to templates, and you can just save template. If you change the template name to default, it will automatically pull up this template no matter what you pull up as far as a market. So for example, over here, I can right click on an asset, click chart window, and it'll pull up a chart in the same style. There are other templates. There are a couple that come with the platform. So for example, I could click on Bollinger Bands, and you can see it's a completely different looking chart. You have the ability to close out the chart up here at the top of the platform, or right clicking on the tab underneath and hitting close. The next thing to think about is looking at market pricing. You can do this quite easily just by looking at the side of the chart. You can see here the dollar yen is trading at 150.608. Or you can look at the quick order buttons in the corner. And then finally, if you look over at the Market Watch window, you can scroll through and find your asset here with the bid and the ask and quite a few other options available. But bid and ask and daily change are standard when you open up the platform. If for some reason you don't see this chart, you can just go to View, click on Market Watch, and it'll pop back up. The next thing to think about is what happens if one of the markets that you want to trade are not in the list, but you know the broker offers it. There's a couple different ways you can do this. The simplest way is to click the symbols button just above the Market Watch, and it'll pop up a dialog box. You can scroll through all of the various offerings, look for what you're wanting to trade. So I will say Euro versus South African Rand, show symbol, and you'll notice it popped up over here. I can then right click and then do the chart. And there it is. Another way you can do this is to click the plus button on the Market Watch and just start typing in the currency pair you are looking to trade. So in this case, I am going to type in NZD, the three-letter character for the New Zealand dollar, and you can see it'll pull up a list where the NZD is the first currency. And in this case, I'll just click on NZD CHF for the New Zealand dollar Swiss franc. I press enter, and then it pops up. You have the ability to pull up the chart window. You can also do what is known as a tick chart, and it'll show you each tick in that currency pair as it goes back and forth. You can get back to the symbols by clicking on symbols at the bottom tab. Trading will pull up these quick trade for all of your symbols, and details tells you everything you need to know: the initial margin, the bid high for the day, the bid low, the ask, daily change, open price, close price, etc. For those of you who like to take screenshots for journals, there's a couple different ways you can do it with the MetaTrader 5 platform, but the easiest, quite frankly, is to right click on the chart and then scroll down to save as picture on the list. Or you can also take a look at the button here that looks like a little camera and a square, and you click on that, and both will give you this pop-up dialog. You can save it as an active workspace, an active chart, in other words, as is. The active workspace, of course, will have everything. And then you can do an active chart with custom dimensions. You can post an image online at the MQL5 chart service and get the link if you want to save it on the cloud. Most traders will essentially just do the chart, click OK, and it will give you the option to save locally on your machine. The next obvious thing would be changing time frames, and this is extraordinarily easy in MetaTrader. You can see clearly that the time frames, the standard time frames up here, are just easily accessible by pressing a button. You can see that it is on weekly, but now I can move it to the 30-minute time frame. That being said, you can also right click on the time frame menu, click customize, and you can change your available times by clicking on the time that you wish to add and insert it into the selected buttons. And in this case, I'm doing 10 minutes, so I will put it between the 5-minute and the 10-minute. I'll click close. And now you can see that there is a 10-minute chart. And this is going to carry over with all of my charts. This becomes a standard feature for the entire platform. You can also scroll in and out by clicking plus or minus on the toolbar, just depending on how you wish the market to appear on your chart. You can also hit plus or minus on your keyboard. It will do the same thing, as they are hotkeys. You can move the chart forward and backward by simply clicking and dragging. You can see that I have the auto scroll on, as I made that part of the template previously. So let's go to chart properties and get rid of the auto scroll. It will and chart shift. It will just make the whole thing easier to move back and forth. You can see it moves right along with you. However, if you want it to go back to normal, you can go to properties and simply click chart shift, chart auto scroll, and it just goes right back to the way it was. Drawing on the chart is very easy. You can just use this bar on the top of the platform. You can see, you can click on the trend line and you just click and drag, click it again, and it draws a trend line. You can draw various things. It's not just a trend line. You can draw parallel channels, for example. And as long as you see these little dots here on these lines, they are active. So I just clicked the delete button and it made them disappear. Horizontal lines work the same way. You just click, drag, and hold. You can see it's still active. But if you click away from it, then it becomes solid. So now I'm hitting the delete key and it's not doing anything. You'll notice that as I switch to the 4-hour chart, that line is still there. You can also choose a different cursor. So now I've got the crosshair cursor as I drag it along the chart. I'll go back to the arrow. Keep in mind that you can customize what's on the quick menu as far as what's going to be quick to draw. So for example, if you chose to do maybe the triangle, you can insert that. You can see it pops up on that. You close, you click on the triangle, you can see it's 3 points, as a triangle would be. You can drag that third point over, and you can form a triangle. Notice that there's a handle in the middle of it. So if you chose to draw a triangle here for your analysis, you can see just how that plays out. The one thing that the crosshair does do that the arrow doesn't do is that you can click and drag, and you'll notice that numbers pop up. So from the top to the bottom where I am right now, you can see that the far right number is negative 2.69%. So it is a 2.69% drop. 41 bars. So in this case, it's 4-hour time frame. So it's 41 4-hour bars. And you can see the first price is where I'm at in coordinates, 171.40. This was a loss of 4,736 points. So that is a handy little tool to measure moves. One of the biggest selling points of the MetaTrader ecosystem is the ability to have so many different indicators. And this is very simple to do. So using a chart here, you can click Insert Indicators, and the huge library of indicators will show up. In this case, I'm going to click on Trend, and you can see that there's a bunch of trend following indicators here. I will use Bollinger Bands. and it will bring up a window. I'm going to change the color to black just so it's a little easier to see. You click on it, and there it is. It's on the chart. You can get rid of the indicators by right-clicking on the chart, and then you go down to indicator list, and you can see it shows Bollinger Bands. You can change the properties. So for example, if I want this to be red instead, I click OK, I close it, and then the Bollinger Band indicator is now red. I can also go back to the indicator list, and as I suggested, you can click delete after highlighting the indicator, and it disappears. So let's take a look at the windows, and you can see that there are 4 tabs here that I have out at the moment. So you can click on the window menu up top and just click tile windows, and they all order quite nicely. And you can see in this case, since it's 4 windows, it's 2 by 2. But if I decide to add another chart, so I'll right click on the euro against the Japanese yen, click chart window, and it shows up way over here. Again, you can click arrange windows as non-overlapping tiles on the toolbar, or go to the window and tile windows, and you can see it squeezes the 5 in this case 2 on the left and 3 on the right, but it gives you an idea of the ability for the platform to be completely customized. You can cascade the windows. You can see that you can just click through them and so on. You can tile vertically, horizontally, etc. So let's go ahead and look at entering a trade. So I have this chart open, the dollar against the yen, and you can see that I have the quick entry button. You can select the size of your trade. So for example, if I want to trade 1 full lot, I can click buy or sell, and it will throw me into the market. I can also right click and then look at depth of market or the trading, and I can click new order. And now I have the choice between market execution or pending order. You can do a buy limit, sell limit, buy stop, sell stop, buy stop limit, sell stop limit. You can do an expiration. So for example, if I wanted to buy the dollar, if it broke above the 151 yen level sometime today, I could do that. So I could do a buy stop at 151 yen, click today. And what that will do is it will enter the market at that price. The thing is, though, if it happens overnight and into the next session, then it will not do that. Notice how you can choose your volume again. So this window here, full lot, you can select the price. So let's just say 151. You can have a stop loss. You can even set a take profit, and then you place the order. So for example, let's just do a stop loss of 149 and a take profit of 157. And you can click place, and it gives you a confirmation number, and you click OK. And then down at the bottom, you can see that this order is placed. You can get out of it really quickly by hitting the X button. You can take various pieces of the trade out of it. So let's just say for whatever reason I wanted to cancel the stop loss. It will pop up a one-click trading disclaimer. One-click trading is a little bit more inherently risky because you're not guaranteed a price. 99.9% of the time that's okay though, especially in this case because we're just getting rid of the stop loss. We're not actually entering the market. And you can see it disappeared. Notice that there is a buy stop 1 at 151 on the chart showing you visually what the orders are. You can X out of it and then it just completely disappears. This is one of the greatest things about the MetaTrader ecosystem is because you have the ability to be so flexible with your trades. So let me go ahead and just buy one right away. You can see that the bottom here at the toolbox, and if you don't have it, let's close it. Let's view toolbox, and you can see it pops back up. The symbol, the ticket number, the time, the action, is it a buy or sell, the volume, the price, and the profit or loss all shows up at the same time. There are a lot of other tabs in the toolbox: code base, articles, alerts, etc. A calendar, depending on your broker, may or may not have economic calendar available. Your exposure, so in this case I bought dollars, so I am exposed fully in the US dollar, as you can see. But if I were to sell the euro against the South African rand, for example, now all of a sudden it's showing me my exposure to a lot of different currencies. So with all of this being said, you can see that the chart, at least by its standard and default configuration, shows where you enter trades. Notice there's a blue buy arrow right there. And then in this case, I shorted the market. So I went bet on it going lower. I didn't change the volume, so the 0.01 is the size of that trade. And notice I just closed out of all of those trades very quickly with just a couple of button pushes. So let's go ahead and buy the dollar yen again. You can see that we have the buy and the sell, which is the close position. Go ahead and buy that. But I can right click on the trade and go to trailing stop, and I can do whatever I want. So for example, if I do a trailing stop, you can do 30 points, and then you have the ability to place a 30-point trailing stop on this order. You could also delete all. So what happens is it gets rid of any trailing stop, and then it just becomes an open order yet again. In general, you typically want to place your trades ahead of time, but you do have the ability to just jump in the market like you watch me do time and time again. You can also watch your history. So you click on the history tab and it will pull up everything and all of the necessary information that you could need. So for example, you can see that I bought one, and I sold one of these trades. And it just tells you what the profit is or the loss. It tells you the price you enter. It also tells you the stop loss and take profit had those been intact when you were actually in the market. You can get really granular with this information, and a lot of traders will look to the history and they will right click, and then they can change the overall length. So for like the last 3 months, obviously I have only placed a handful of trades, so that's not going to change much right here. But you can do a report where it will open up an Excel or it will open up an HTML file that you can view later. So I've made a little bit of money here. Let's go ahead and exit out. You can see that the balance has updated during the course of this video. I have placed several trades, and then when you go through the history, again, it will be updated with the latest trade, a profit of $17.27. So overall, I've made a profit of $23.72. However, my total profit after spread and commissions will be $2.64. So that will vary depending on your broker. Some charge a commission, some don't. Generally speaking, the ones that charge a commission have tighter spreads, So it's a bit of a trade-off. You can also download custom indicators for this platform, and it's pretty simple to do. I've opened up a zip file, just copy the indicator, close out of it, and then you go to File, Open Data Folder, click on that, you go to MQL5, Indicators, and then you just paste into the platform. You close that dialog and then you restart the platform to have it installed. Now that I've restarted the application, you can see that there in the navigator, and again, you can click View Navigator in case it isn't there, pops up and there is an indicator section. You click on Indicators, you click on Long Position Tool, and you drag it over here. I have already done that, and you can see the long short position tool, which is the indicator that I downloaded, now shows itself. And in this particular case, I will click on this and show you how the long or short position tool works. And it is just essentially a indicator that will tell you what you're targeting, what your stop loss is, etc. The amount of indicators literally is thousands out there. So this is just an example. You can find all kinds of indicators to do pretty much anything imaginable. You can also go to your indicator list here with a right click, click on the indicator that you downloaded and add to the chart. You delete, you click close, and it disappears. And again, the indicators can vary widely. I just chose something that was very visual. The navigator window down here gives you information on your accounts, all of your different indicators. So this is a way that you can, for example, put an indicator on instead of insert indicator, but really the insert indicator is a little bit more common. This is a little bit more in depth, more or less, for those special downloaded indicators that you may have bought, coded, whatever. Another thing that you can do if you like the grid, you can click on and off to show the grid on a chart. In this case, though, if you remember, my template, my default template, had no grid. So by going down to properties, I can change the colors of this grid to black. And then you can see it pop back up, but now it's visible. So when I turn it off, it disappears. When I turn it on, it reappears. Another thing that I would look at, and this I touched on very briefly earlier, was the depth of market. Now, the depth of market is a bit tricky when it comes to CFD brokers because, quite frankly, it just shows you the depth of the market on that particular server. So do keep that in mind. It's not exactly ideal. It's not like a futures market, but it tells you, where you can go. And you say, I want to trade, or I want to sell, buy, whatever level. You can find the depth of market either on the market watch, or you can view depth of market, and it will give you all of the potential ones that you can trade. One other thing that I would say is a lot of times traders will just right click on this market watch and they can go to sets, or you can just go show all and it will put everything here that is available to trade. You can see now I have commodities and the like. The thing about MT5 is it is a bit more complex than MT4, but if you have been using MetaTrader 4, you'll find this very intuitive. It's very easy to deal with. It does have a lot more customization when it comes to indicators and time frames, and that's part of what people like so much. This is where the market is going. So, with that being the case, you're probably better off getting familiarized with MT5, but again, MetaTrader 4 is used quite a bit, but the support for MetaTrader 4 is starting to unravel as it is now considered to be a legacy piece of software.